Hello, my friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. So, guys, this is something I don't think we ever really delved into, although I might have spoken briefly about it, perhaps on a live in the past. So, how many are familiar with chaos magic? Ooh, that sounds scary. Chaos magic. It must be dark and evil. Well, not really. Not really at all. It's just looking at what underlies, well, everything when you get down to it. It's our beliefs, our belief system. Beliefs are a tool to be used. They are a means to an end, and so to speak. And so chaos magic is interesting in that it recognizes and utilizes what we have learned from quantum physics. And that is the fact, well, that ultimately everything is energy, right? As Einstein said, everything is energy. That's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want, and you cannot help but get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Why do we see all of nature is basically based on a mathematical formula? Everything is energy. Ultimately, you and I, that's all there is. It really is. And also, one of the other great quotes is that when you get down to it, the universe is mind stuff. It's basically, it's all thoughts. Thoughts are the most real thing we have. So, we must be mindful of our thoughts, for sure. As Tesla said, if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Very, very true. He also spoke about the ether, the life force, Ki, Chi, Prana, Vril, the force of Star Wars. Only the existence of a field of force can account for the motions of the bodies as observed, and its assumption dispenses with space curvature. All literature on this subject is futile and destined to oblivion. So are all attempts to explain the workings of the universe without recognizing the existence of the ether and the indispensable function it plays in the phenomena. My second discovery was of the physical truth of the greatest importance. As I have searched the entire scientific records in more than half a dozen languages for a long time without finding the least anticipation, I consider myself the original discoverer of the truth, which can be expressed by the statement, there is no energy in matter other than that received from the environment. And if it depends on where we're going. If we're going into mystery traditions, they do talk about that. And we see the fact that it's a fractal universe. And another way of looking at it is as above, so below. When you look at the brain cell in the universe, they pattern each other. Think about the death of a star here on the right and the birth of a cell. And look at Sassy. Sassy's getting upset here. Look at the human eye. And of course, we see nebula that look very, very much like that. So are we living in the mind of God? I think easy answer to that question would be yes, we are. And ultimately, we are all a part of God itself. So here we see, this is a little insignia there. Abstract, you are responsible for your reality. And the point is to manifest that which you want, which you truly desire. There are symbols that are universal, have been used forever in various cultures, and it's fascinating to see them pop up time and time again on different points of the globe. There's a reason for this, because everything is energy. Everything is energy currents. And in chaos magic, they kind of cut to the chase. They will utilize anything that will help the individual focus and bring about the desired result. Because magic ultimately is the act of having the physical universe conform to our will and our intent. And it is something that's used on us by the power elite every single day. Every single day. And they've instilled terror and fear through mostly religious points of view, so that you will never look for the truth and never look to discover what you can do, what we can do as a unified people. Because we can undo everything that they've done. And so they make you afraid to, for instance, use tarot cards or anything that might actually activate your intuition and tapping into the greater universal mind that already exists out there and that we were a part of and that we were able to plug into. Because that's what it is. It's just simply plugging in. Energy is all about us. Different energy currents are all around us. We could simply plug into them anytime if we had the knowledge, the will, the focus. So here we see the complete Psychonaut field manual, a cartoon guide to chaos magic. I thought this was really cute. Just so you guys know, I do have 2 PDFs here, Liber Kaos, and this one came out in 92. I think that's when I first read it. It was back in 92. It's by Peter J. Carroll. And then we have Condensed Chaos by Phil Hine. And so both of these were 2 of the first chaos magic books I got into. Austin Osman Spare was an interesting individual for sure, and he did a lot of work with sigils, and he is thought to be like one of the founders of chaos magic. And most definitely these other 2 gentlemen in these PDFs here, Phil Hine and Peter J. Carroll, are both leaders in that category, and I guess now they're older men like myself. So they are perhaps some of the founders. But other people that have done really good work in this field too, there's so many to name. It's just recognizing that belief systems are a tool. And yet we are controlled and limited, often extremely limited by our belief systems. So do we recognize that we have a belief system that's perhaps limiting our ability to manifest that world which we would really want? And I know if you're part of this family, that's a world of peace and harmony and love and accepting each other. So one of the things that's interesting about this too is that, here, this form of magic will lean a lot on not just quantum physics, but psychology as well, and looking at things, from that standpoint, and recognizing that we can program our own beliefs. It's just a matter of reprogramming, because by the by the time that we're 7 years old, there is a belief system imprinted on us. Just simply by observing our parents, starting to go to school, observing classmates, the way that we're supposed to behave, society imprints us. And most definitely, we would probably be extremely different individuals if you put us in a totally different time frame, in a totally different country, getting exposed to a totally new set of beliefs and energies. But we can reprogram ourselves. That's part of why mantras and affirmations are so powerful. There's other ways of doing this as well. So we have the conscious mind, we have the subconscious mind, and there is like a collective consciousness as well. Most of us really are operating as automatons most of the time. Yeah, if you haven't heard of this before, it is thought that 80 and 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts day after day, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, the same things going through our mind. One of the things that we must do is gain control. So you see here the Psychonaut field manual. Illumination should be free. See, there's a lot of comedy too that you find, because I guess, you know, a lot of people will come to chaos magic through other forms, usually through, Wicca, pagan beliefs, going through the Western mystery tradition, ceremonial magic, and the such, and then starting to realize, we don't really need to do hardly anything. All we need to do is change our mind. It's just that simple. How do we reprogram our mind? That's really what it's all about. First, we have to recognize that we have been programmed. Totally programmed. And here we see level 1, belief is a tool. Any damn fool can operate any one of the following tech, provided they believe that they can. Belief is not only the first tool you'll master on your journey, but also the most powerful. Faith moves mountains and Mirada. Just trying not to swear there. Call it imposition of the will, call it the placebo effect, call it the descent into madness. Regardless, magic works. The placebo effect has been going up as we go deeper into this ascension period, because all of us are heading upwards in density, some much faster than others. And so everything is going to be easier to manifest and quicker. So we got to gain control of our mind. We have to gain control, or we're going to be manifesting all sorts of true chaos into our lives. So take ceremonial magic, for example. Here we have a group of people dressing in silly costumes, waving around dorky props, and doing Enaki and Hokey Pokey. These acts are meaningless in themselves, and yet the theater of the thing acts as a crutch. Belief happens not because they think it will, but because they know it will. Whether they attribute the outcome to inner mastery or sketchy metaphysical hippie crap is irrelevant. It doesn't matter what you believe, just believe. So, as you see here, he's making fun of the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, saying Skeletor to my north, Starscream to my east. It's very interesting. It's all about the mind, and unlocking the mind and mastering meditation is absolutely necessary for all future exercises. Make no mistake, this first step is extremely difficult, and most will never go and move beyond this point. Your goal here is not to find inner peace or to become one with everything. Rather, it's to shut down all auxiliary thought in order to focus most of your brain's processing power on a single point or action. And this is called gnosis. Until you are able to switch to the state on the fly, I highly recommend you practice meditating for at least 10 minutes every day. And, that's a good starting point. I would say, at least 20 minutes if you could, or more. And when I was first starting with this, I was meditating 3 times a day in the morning for about 10 minutes, about a half hour at my lunch, and then a good hour or more at night. And I maintained that for years. And it took about 3 months to have a breakthrough where I could actually saw a chakra with my own eyes, and that changed everything, because then I knew it wasn't all BS. Then I knew the whole, it all was real. There really is a chakra system. Wow. And then things really proceeded very fast after that. But where we're at nowadays is such a blessing, because we are so far ahead of what could have been achieved 10, 20, 30 years ago. What can be achieved now is mind-blowing compared to what could have been done 20 years ago. We have advanced so far in the ascension process. Might not seem it with the world in chaos, but it is true. We are changing rapidly. Our ability to manifest is increasing exponentially. And that is why you see the manufactured chaos all around us, because, They want to maintain their order, their will, with the chaos. So, Gnosis, the stairway to awesomeness. Find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed for long periods of time. For each of these exercises, start with 10 minutes in your first session, then go for 20, and then once you completed 30 minutes, head to the next step. Step 1, calm yourself down. And there's so many different ways to do this. And one of the things you can do is just basically lying down flat, get really comfortable, and then focus first on your toes, and then try to scrunch up your toes as hard as you could and release them and relax. Scrunch up your whole foot, tense it, and then relax. And follow that, going up the calf, into the thighs, going up into the hips, into the abdomen, every muscle, one group at a time. And just learn to put your mind into the muscle. Put your mind into your body. That is what yoga, Hatha yoga, is all about. It's amazing how disconnected we are from our bodies. It's amazing how disconnected most people are from everything. And it does take discipline. It's not easy. But it's easier now than it ever was. And we gotta learn to focus. Candle gazing, it's interesting what happens. Sometimes you'll see it turn into 3, 4 candles. Sometimes the flame will dance off the wick, crazy stuff. I was noticing just this morning when I was first talking to Cindy when we woke up, I just had my hand resting by her knee, and I was just noticing the interplay of energies between the two of us, just happening at an unintentional level, seeing energy to the degree that I never saw it before. I've seen energy for over 30 years, being able to see the ether and see the life force around us, see many times different layers to the aura, always the etheric, but being able to distinguish between that. But now we're actually seeing even things I don't know how to describe them as. And it's all the fact that our pineal glands are waking up. And they're waking up big time. And step 3, kill the noise. And it goes on from there. So this is really cute and it is helpful. Another one, step 4, focus on your breath. Just follow the breath. That is so key, so critical in every sort of system that there is. But just to talk about chaos magic and what's different about it is, like, chaos magic will say, well, if you guys are familiar with the Golden Dawn, there is something called assuming the God form. And there's also Wiccan counterparts to that, pagan counterparts. And one technique you could do is envisioning yourself, for instance, if you wanted to gain wisdom, vision yourself climbing up the Great Pyramid. And then when you get up to the top of that pyramid, but take the time to climb that pyramid, feel it, and visualize it, see it, smell it, feel it. How hot it is, the sun beating down. Feel the sun beating down on your shoulders. Feel the stones underneath your feet. Feel your hands touching the stones, warm from the sun. A fine, thin layer of sand on each stone. Climb, climb. See yourself getting up towards the top. It's coming to that point. It's coming together. You're getting up to the top. And then when you're at the top, there is no capstone and it's flat. And there's 2 chairs. And you walk to the chair closest to you and you sit down in it. And then you feel a presence coming from behind you. And then it comes by you and sits down in a chair across from you. And it's Thoth, the god of wisdom, with his ibis head. And so Thoth is sitting across from you. And you could have a conversation with Thoth. And you could ask them questions and see what comes to your mind. And then you could even get up, walk over to his chair, and go and sit down as if you're going to sit on his lap, but you go right through it. And now you're merged with Thoth's energy. Now ask yourself a question and notice the answer. So this is the type of technique that can be done and is done in many different magic traditions. And what it is doing is it's shifting us. For one thing, it's getting our focus to be intensified, strengthened, and focused on just one thing. And then the visualization, and notice every little detail around you. And then we absorb the energy of Thoth, which exemplifies wisdom, which is also just tapping into a different aspect of ourselves and that universal mind. So when we shift our awareness and believe in something, even if it's a mental exercise, it is real because the universe is mind stuff. It's that simple. So even if, say for instance, there never was an actual Jesus of Nazareth, the name of Jesus would still have tremendous power because over 1 billion people believe in him. And throughout the course of time, billions. The amount of faith and belief and energy, because everything is energy, that has been put into the name of Jesus is tremendous. So it wouldn't really matter in chaos magic theory, and if we look into quantum physics as well, it wouldn't really matter if he did or didn't exist because there's so much power in just the name of Jesus right now because of the belief of others, the absolute belief of others. So when we use names, when we use symbols, we're just tapping into energy. Again, it's just a simple act of taking a plug and putting it in an outlet and utilizing that energy. And so that's what chaos magic recognizes it as. They're just different energies to be basically tapped into. So, for instance, when I was first doing a lot of energy work, usually I would visualize either Christ or Buddha, the two people that I associated the most, with love, compassion, and healing energy. And I would visualize them, hold strong onto them while I was channeling energy and sending it into the person I was working on. And more than once, which is pretty wild, I had people say to me that while you were working on me, I felt hands somewhere else. And then I opened my eyes and I looked and I saw like Jesus sit down into you. Or I saw Buddha, and then you and Buddha were one. So they could tap into what I was focusing on and actually see it when they were in an altered state as well as I was. So there's a lot of things that you could use here. And you see there's different contents, including a chapter on sigils. And sigils are something that have been used for a long time. And different rituals, pentagrams. And the key is belief. The key is in knowing. So Christ said, if you had the faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. It's true. He also said many times, he never said really, I healed you, go now. And he never asked for worship. He would tell them, your faith has healed you. Because you know. So it's all about belief and knowing. Gnosis. There's a reason why Gnosticism was so put down by the early Catholic Church, because there was no going through the priesthood. There was no going through any middlemen. Everything you need was inside of you. It was the thing to be coveted was gnosis, which is a knowing. It's not a left brain knowing. It's an inner knowing. It's belief. So I just wanted to give you a quick introduction to chaos magic, and there's so much more to it as well. I'll give you guys the PDFs as always. Hopefully this will stimulate some thought. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.